Hello, Internet! Welcome to episode 370 of the Assorted Calibers podcast, the second-minute podcast. There's a little bit for everyone. I'm Weer'd, and with me tonight... Oh, yeah, no. She's the greatest hostess in the entire universe. I could mess around with her, but she knows the truth. She'll deny it, but she knows the truth. Aaron Paulette! How you doing, Aaron?
This reminds me of the life of Brian, where they're calling him the Messiah, and he says no, and the followers say, only the true Messiah would deny his divinity.
It's true. And to be fair, he fell off that, he fell out of that building and got picked up by the spaceship. Tell me that's not divine intervention.
I mean, it was a movie.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite part of that movie, because it's when the movie completely goes off the rails. You're like, wait, what? Is this real life?
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. So how am I doing? Tilly is a handful. I think last week I mentioned that she was a halfling rogue, and she is continuing to level up. Her sneak attack is gaining dice. She particularly likes to go for the Achilles tendon.
Mm-hmm.
But also the inside of my arm are also favorite spots. I'm not going to say I'm covered in bruises and scratches, but it's starting to look a little bit suspect. This will only make sense to the gamers, but she is a rogue whose dump stat was wisdom. I mean, she's dexterous and she's smart and she's surprisingly strong, but she makes some really, really bad decisions. Mostly involving things put into her mouth. She's like a toddler. You know, we're walking her, and it's like, oh, look, there's a piece of gravel in the road. I'm going to put it in my mouth. And it's like, no, Tilly, spit it out. You're going to break your teeth. We have yet to find something this dog will not eat. And I include things like lettuce from salad. She will eat that.
Huh.
A pickled beet fell on the floor. I mean, a slice of it. She ate that.
I do love a good pickled beet.
Well, so do I, but dogs are not known for being vegetarians.
No.
But, I mean, giving her medication is absolutely a breeze because she'll just eat it. She'll eat anything. So, I'm exhausted, but in a good way. And she's really sweet, and we cuddle every night, and I really like that, and it's healing my heart. The other thing that's going on, and you'll hear more about this in the blooper reel, is that for the first time in a long time, I've managed to be creative, and I've written 6,000 words. It's not a story. It's for gaming. It's for, if you play Pathfinder, I made an archetype for a character class. And why is it 6,000 words? You'll just have to listen to the blooper reel. But it's such a tremendous feeling of validation. I started a project, and then I finished it, and that's a huge deal, and I'm really proud of it. So I probably can't make any money off of it whatsoever, but if you play Pathfinder, let me know, and I'll send you a copy, and you can tell me if you like it or not. And so that's aaron.paulette@gmail.com.
I liked what I heard.
It also scared you, you said.
Yes. Well, yeah. It's give just a brief thumbnail of it so that I can react to it.
Okay, so Pathfinder is a Dungeons and Dragons derivative, and a third-party class is called the Malefactor, and it's all about bad luck and curses. And I wrote a archetype for the Malefactor. An archetype is kind of like a prestige class, but better. And this is called the Jonah. And so it is for nautical campaigns. And it's all about bad luck and bad weather and hexes at sea.
And since I have spent many, I've spent years out to sea, it strikes very close to home. It can be a very scary place. And what you're saying is you're just creating the ultimate horror villain for being offshore.
Good. So, so that's how I'm doing. How are you doing, Weer'd?
I'm doing okay. We still have the mouse. We still spot him. Like, literally, I just walked around the corner, and he's just sitting in the middle of my kitchen, just looks at me, goes, oh, and then takes off. And, and
it's the landlord, run!
It is avoiding all of the traps everywhere. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Like, there's never been a mouse like this in my house. Normally, they eat things. They get in. Like, we've got a bowl of Halloween candy that is just out there. And normally that's where we would see we have a little drawer that we keep our candy in. And that's literally, they would find their way into that drawer. And so we would find like empty candy wrappers and poops and stuff in there. No sign of them whatsoever. Like, they're obviously eating crumbs and stuff off of counters, but that's it. Like, how do they survive on crumbs alone? And they're not tripping any of the traps. They're not going into any of the traps. I want them gone. We are sick of them.
I am in favor of David's opinion, which is that you've eliminated all of the dumb mice, and now because of evolutionary pressure, you have created a subspecies of smart mice that are primed to avoid mousetraps.
Yeah, that certainly does tie in nicely. I mean, it has gotten so bad that I have legitimately considered calling up my buddy who has cats and saying, "Can I borrow them for a week?" And
you're allergic.
And I am very allergic to cats. And like actually having them in, like I go over to my friend's house all the time. You know, I've spent a lot of time at David's house and things like that, and that's fine because I stay for a while and then I leave, and I'm allowed time to recover. And specifically, I am not sleeping, breathing in cat dander. If I'm sleeping and breathing in cat dander, it is not good. I have horrible asthma attacks, and it's no bueno. And so, yeah.
You should get a Sphinx cat.
What'd you say?
You should get a Sphinx cat.
I may actually still be allergic to them as well. They have small amounts of hair, and it's actually, I believe it's the dander that's the big thing. So they lick themselves, the saliva dries, and it's the protein on the saliva. Because, like, I am definitely, like, allergic to, like, poodles and other what they call hyperallergenic dogs. They don't shed. But I'm still allergic to them because, again, it's the dander, not the actual hair.
Wow.
Yep. So, yeah, that's that. But I've definitely contemplated all right, we got to hire a hit cat.
Have you considered allergy shots?
I've had them, and it makes them better, but it was not 100% successful, at least as far as dogs and cats go.
Well, that's a real shame.
Yep. But at least it was a lot of work.
A lot of money, too.
Yeah, well, the insurance covered all of that. So it was still a lot of money because I was a copay for each shot. And that was like literally like, one shot a week for 5 years. So yeah, that adds up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was lucky in that when I got my allergy shots, first I was a child. I was very young. I want to say like 3rd grade, maybe? Super young. And also, because my father was active duty military, they were all completely free. See, I don't know if you know this. A lot of people don't know this. But when you are active duty military and you go to a military base for medical treatment, you and your immediate dependents, it's all free. The government takes care of it. And so it was neat that I got this allergy treatment for free, starting in like 2nd or 3rd grade and continuing until I graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm. That's about right. The time frame. I ended up going through it twice. I got it once in high school, and then when I started working with the rats and mice, when I switched over to medical research, I realized I was allergic to rats and mice, and I had a severe allergy attack from that. And so, and it just undid everything. Suddenly I was allergic like I was. It just essentially undid the whole thing, and then went back and got the shots again. And again, they were quite effective, but not 100% effective. So I am still allergic to everything that I'm allergic to, just not severely.
Mm-hmm.
So, but still, cats were absolutely the worst. And so I would love to borrow my friend's cats and have them just for a week and just have them eat all the mice.
I mean, you go on vacations a lot.
That is true, but when the cat leaves, the remnants of the cat does not leave.
Picky, picky, picky.
I mean, it's not picky. It's just that it's not my fault. It's just how it works.
Fine, just burn the house down. You'll get the mouse that way.
I mean, that'll be one of the updates. So we're recording from a hotel. All right. Well, actually, so I wanted to start off the show just kind of with a story. I will say I'm going to be very, very vague, and I will just say that all will be revealed in the near future. But a longtime friend of mine contacted me recently and said specifically, I would like to be on the podcast once this is all done. But essentially, they got themselves into an incident. And they were carrying a firearm, and they received a weapons charge. It sounds like from everything they've said, it's all going to go away. But also it sounds like the amount of money that he has had to put forward for his legal defense is also all going to go away. And just, he specifically contacted me saying, crap, I wish I had taken your advice and gotten one of the concealed carry insurance group. So I will just say we will be hearing from my friend sometime in the near future with all the details of this incident. But I'm just wanted to say right now, this struck real close to home. If you are not a member of somebody that will cover your legal defense for a firearms related incident, you should probably do that. All right. And now moving on to the news. And so tying in nicely to that, we have some stories of some other people that probably should have had some concealed carry insurance as well, or it would be do them a huge favor. This first one is out of Oklahoma City, and the title, the headline is great. You have a right to defend. You have a right to defend yourself. 7-Eleven clerk fired after shooting attacker. Essentially the story is that this woman was a clerk at a 7-Eleven. She got attacked by somebody with, it sounds like they had a knife. She refused to accept $100 bill, and so then it turned violent. And he tried
to strangle her. He went behind the counter and tried to strangle her while shouting things like he was going to cut her head off. It's worth noting that this woman worked alone on the overnights from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And so, hey, if you were working alone at those hours of the night at a I don't remember who called it that, but someone called them like a stop and rob, then yes, carry a gun.
Yep. And she has been, it sounds, she has not been charged with any of the, with any crime. It was fully justified going on. I'm sure it was caught on multiple security cameras as well, which doesn't hurt. But
I also think it's funny, assuming that I'm thinking of the correct story, is that, yeah, here we go. So she shot him. He did not die. He fled and called 911. And, okay, on the face of it, yes, it makes sense. He's been shot. He's bleeding. He wants medical attention. But there's just something poetic about the man calling the authorities to arrest him. And I thought that was neat. And so the woman is fine. No charges on her. But wait, because corporate, specifically human resources, is going to come along to screw everything up, because she had a gun, and that was against 7-Eleven policy. Because 7-Eleven policy is to defend yourself using items in the store.
Well, I think I would have to assume, I've never actually read a 7-Eleven handbook, but I have read many corporate handbooks. out there. And there's really kind of, it's just somebody somewhere. And actually, if you know, like the first lawyer to come up with this idea, but obviously some corporate lawyer somewhere decided, hey, you know what could be a bad thing is if employees are armed and defend themselves and end up either, you know, somebody shoots somebody who isn't actually robbing the store, but they got the impression they were, or somebody shoots at a robber and hits another customer. There's all sorts of things that could go wrong. And if they were if they were allowed to carry that firearm and that was considered an appropriate activity to be done as an employee, now the company's on the hook, I think is the rationale behind it. So,
I was absolutely certain that this had to do with insurance liability. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, but but what I'm trying to say is there is a very standard boilerplate that essentially just says no carrying or use of weapons while you are under the employ of 7-Eleven or of this company. And yeah.
And that's okay for if you work in an office 9 to 5, but if you are working at a stop and rob, you're being told that if you want to keep your job, you basically have to allow yourself to be victimized. And good on this woman for deciding that her life was more important. And she had the means to defend herself, and she did. And yeah, she got fired, but I have a feeling, I can't put it in any better than that, but I just have a feeling she's going to be okay. Because if she has the wherewithal to get a gun, learn how to use it, value her life, defend it successfully, and she said in an interview, you know, I'm always going to choose my life because there's people that depend on me. She's going to find a new job. She's going to find a better job, and she's going to be okay because of this.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true. And I will say, actually, step back, Aaron, and you say it's okay if you work in an office. What immediately popped into my head was the town office in Virginia Beach, where that employee went crazy and shot a bunch of his fellow employees. So,
well, I mean, obviously, seeing as how I'm a Second Amendment advocate, I'm all for carrying, you know, whenever and wherever you can. I was simply saying that the odds of needing to defend yourself in an office environment are much, much lower than in a retail establishment that's open in the wee hours of the morning.
Oh, yeah, especially stop and rob. I always talk about, like, one of the best reasons to own a snub-nosed lightweight revolver is that you can grab one, drop 5 or 6 shells into the cylinder, close it up, put it into a pocket holster, and then put it in your pocket, and then go out the door. And as someone was talking about, like, one of the most dangerous situations you can be is if you are a smoker and realize that you are out of cigarettes late at night, you're going to want to go to a convenience store to pick up more cigarettes. See also, 24-hour pharmacy to pick up some cold medication, etc. These are all, like, late night going to a place like a stop and rob, a convenience store or a pharmacy or something like that. That's also prime opportunity to go when some place is going to get robbed, and walking in on a robbery can be a very, very dangerous thing to do. And it's even more dangerous if you are the employee that's there all night, every night. Like, you're going to get robbed. And so, yeah, I totally understand that. I can totally sympathize and understand the weighing of the risk of whether to violate company policy and risk getting fired, versus taking your chances that you may not need a firearm. But I will say, I tried to look it up and I was not able to find it because it was a number of years ago. I think it was like at least easily, 10 to 15 years ago. But there was an employee, I believe they were also a 7-Eleven employee, and they were robbed. They shot the robber. Don't know if they killed him or not, but they shot the robber. and were not charged by the police, but they were fired for carrying a weapon while working for 7-Eleven, and a convenience store pretty much right up the street that was a mom and pop got a hold of the guy, called him, said, "Would you like to work at our store?" And openly told the news, "We gave him a job, and we don't care that he carries a gun. We're allowed to. So please don't rob us." You rob us, you're gonna get shot. That would suck.
Well, you know what else sucks, Weer'd? I know it's an open-ended question.
I mean,
but it is a segue to our next story.
Yes, that would be that would be New York City and their gun laws.
Especially if you have to defend yourself in New York City.
Yes. So this guy was how old was he? I say he was older.
Well, they're calling him a senior citizen. 67.
Yep. So he's just barely 67. So we're not going to go too far on that. But he was working as a doorman. Somebody attempted to rob him, had an object in his hand, turned out to be a pen. He thought it was a knife. He pulled out a gun, shot the guy. Did it say if he died? I think he did die. Yes.
I believe it did.
Yes. So the guy died. And even in New York City, he was not billed for the crime. It was deemed justifiable by the police in going through. But it's New York City, and he was a doorman, which means under no circumstances was he able to get himself a carry permit. So he was carrying an illegal gun. Sounds like he didn't have actually a permit for anything, because they also searched his apartment and found multiple other guns in there. And so he has...
Yeah, they called it an arsenal, and I looked it up because you know how the media loves to be hysterical. You know, someone has a couple of guns and it's an arsenal. This guy, I believe, actually had a legitimate arsenal because they say he had 30 firearms, handguns, revolvers, and rifles, plus ammunition. I mean, we obviously aren't talking Mad Mike levels of firearm ownership, but I don't have 30 guns, so that's impressive, and especially for anti-gun New York. So, this is one of those things where I don't think he did anything morally wrong, but there is the law that says that you have to have authorization from the government in New York City in order to have guns, and this guy didn't have any of the paperwork for any of them.
I mean,
so he is guilty of that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and it's one of those. Maybe he could sue on Second Amendment grounds. It sounds. I mean, honestly, it sounds like he would be a model plaintiff for that. But he's also an older man, so how much of this BS do you want to go through at that age? I don't know, but it sucks. It sucks because again, he justifiably killed a person. The New York City police even said, "Yeah, no, this is totally fine. We're not charging you with that crime." But the crime we're going to charge you with is the absolute BS one of, owning an illegal gun. And it's one of those like, well, how illegal would it be? It saved his life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the guy had a pen. It doesn't necessarily matter. This is a young man attacking an older man. So,
well, I mean, not like the older man would know at the time, but the person assaulting him had at least 15 arrests on his rap sheet, including for robbery and guns, according to this New York Post article. So he was not a gentleman. He was a repeat offender with a history of violence. So absolutely justified.
And probably the cops knew who he was. Oh,
I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. None of the handguns were that had permits. 14 other guns in the house were long guns. 6 of them were legally possessed. I'm with you. This man reached a certain age, and he just went, to hell with it. I'm going to get what I want, and I'm not going to deal with the paperwork.
Well, also the fact of the, how many times have you actually shown your Florida concealed carry permit except to buy a gun?
Well, more often than you're probably thinking, because every time I get pulled over, which doesn't happen often, but it has happened, when I hand my driver's license to the police officer, I also hand them my carry permit.
Yeah, that's a good tactic. But what I'm trying to say is, have you ever had a police officer say, do you have a permit for that?
No. There was one instance where I beat the guy to the punch, and I wrote about it on my blog. The very short version is that I attended one of those run, hide, fight conferences, and I was carrying legally. And someone saw, it was covered, but I guess they saw the bulge, and oh no, this person has a gun. And so the police officer took me outside to talk, and obviously I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I was being asked to leave the venue because during this run, hide, fight class, the fact that I had a gun made some people nervous. And so I knew it was BS, he knew it was BS, but he was asked me to leave, and I did. And when he took me outside, I figured that's what it was. And it was just, I had the carry permit right there, and it's just like, it's legal.
But the point I'm saying is that, like, it's also possible that it's one of those, who's going to know? And he may have had guns for years and years and years and just never cared. But either way, we wish him luck. I'm wondering, obviously it's a big story, so hopefully some of the 2A advocacy groups are reaching out to him to see if he might want some legal defense to challenge the fact that, again, you shouldn't have to choose your freedom or your life. And that's really the choice, is that he could have been killed in this altercation, and he chose to fight back and live, but now he's facing prison time.
Well, it's New York City.
It is New York City.
I think I can hear David griping from all the way down here in Florida.
Mm-hmm. And so, moving from one cesspool to another, we're moving to Washington, D.C. And
I think that's an insult to cesspools. I lived in the DC area for 5 years. It's a malarial swamp. Yes. It's awful.
Yeah. I've heard your stories about the Beltway traffic. I've had to traverse it a couple of times for both work and pleasure, and yeah, it's awful. I can only imagine a daily commute in that crap. It makes Boston look good. We were driving home from the city the other day, and my wife says, I feel like a race car driver. And I went, what? And looked at the speedometer. I'm like, I'm not even speeding. She goes, yeah, but when I'm driving this at rush hour, I'm doing 10 miles an hour. So yeah, but in DC we have Donald Trump has nominated Robert Cicada. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But
I've heard it's Cicada.
Yeah,
but
it looks like that. Yeah, and I believe he's the he's the acting director. No, he's the deputy director. Excuse me, of the ATF, and he has nominated him to run the agency. And essentially, the long and the short of it is that we kind of don't know what kind of a dude he is, because he really hasn't done anything Second Amendment related or really made any Second Amendment statements. So I guess you could argue he's kind of a blank slate. Is that how you describe him, Aaron?
I don't know anything about him, so sure.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we will be keeping an eye on this guy and see what's going on. But not to be a downer, but it was
you. You are practically a Pollyanna compared to me.
Mm-hmm. But I wanted to turn around to former AG of Florida, Pam Bondi, who is now now the head of the DOJ, and she has essentially decided that she is going to fight back against the challenge against the NFA. Of course, we've talked about it before. Is that now that the tax come January is going to be lowered to $0 on several items within the NFA. That would mean that essentially the protection that the NFA has against the Second Amendment, because it was challenged early on in its life, it was said that no, it's not a gun registry. It is not gun control. It is tax information. That's what the NFA is. And if the tax is $0, why do you need a registry to track that you paid or didn't pay a tax of $0?
I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So, and furthermore, it does also set the challenge to the whole thing of it turns out it is just a gun registry. An illegal gun registry as well, because laws have since been passed that federal gun registries are illegal. But it sounds like Pam Bondi and Trump's DOJ is going to fight against the various Second Amendment groups that are challenging it and trying to get that terrible law out from under us.
Yeah, the DOJ seems to be making the argument that they need the NFA, and in order to enforce it, it needs to, well, obviously it needs to exist for them to be able to enforce it, and so they're not going to argue, or they aren't going to give in, they aren't going to concede, you're right, a tax of $0 isn't a tax at all. No, they're going to argue that that argument doesn't work because, well, there are businesses that manufacture firearms. I don't know what that has to do with it. And then Congress has powers under the Commerce Clause and the Necessary and Proper Clause. You independently authorize the NFA's regulatory requirements. So we need it to be a tax, even if it's a tax of $0, because we need to enforce this law for reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to keep beating this dead horse, but I warned y'all. She was Attorney General of Florida, and I said she is not a friend of the Second Amendment. Don't think she is.
Yeah.
And the proof, here we are.
I was really, really hoping with the bump stock and the arm brace bans, where essentially the DOJ just said, "Yep, fine, we'll leave it alone." So it didn't. They actually let the lower court rulings stand, and therefore didn't require us to wait for it to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, which is hearing precious few cases, and even fewer Second Amendment cases, even though there's a ton of them out there. And so I was hoping maybe the DOJ would just have kind of a laissez-faire attitude and just let these various challenges go unfought or conceded. But unfortunately, that has not happened. And I said, I'm disappointed. Okay, well, that's enough news. So it's pretty well known that the Second Amendment activism doesn't usually pay the bills. And last week we talked with Tony Simon about the diversity shoot. But what does Tony do to pay the bills? What is his day job? All right, I am happy to welcome back to the Assorted Calibers podcast. The second is for everyone's Tony Simon. And how you doing, Tony?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me back.
So this is just one of those. I decided I like to do these little human interest stories for the show, and I think most people know who you are. Of the people who know who you are, most of the people are well aware that you are a former Marine.
Yes.
And happy birthday to the Marine Corps. Recording this a few days after the Marine Corps' birthday. And everybody knows about the Second Is for Everyone and the diversity shoot.
Yes.
But very few people know that you are a locksmith.
I am a locksmith and have been since the 90s.
And
since the late 1900s.
Yes. And, well, actually, you know what? This would be a perfect time because I know you've told me this story several times, but I don't know if you've told it on a podcast, is what your origin story. What got you into lockpicking?
Okay, my very first time lockpicking, I was a latchkey kid that was totally forgetful. And my mom, so when I would forget my key, I would go to my aunt's house and hang out until my mom got off work. And that was, 4 hours later. And my mom was tired of it. She says, listen, next time you leave your keys, you sit on the stoop of the house until I get home. Don't go bothering your aunt. Well, I got home one day, realized I left the keys in the house, and I had to go poop. And I couldn't go to my aunt's house because my mom told me to stay on there. Well, I wasn't going to poop on the porch. So I figured I could pick a lock, and I grabbed a willow tree branch that fit in the hole, and I worked it until I picked the door lock, and I went in the house and used the bathroom. So that was the first time I picked a lock, and then lo and behold, I get out of the Marine Corps, and my dad calls me, and he was like, hey, son, want to come up and work with me? And I was like, doing what? He was like, I'm a locksmith. So I came up to Jersey and I started working as a locksmith, and that was forever ago.
That is really, really cool. Of course, many people know that of the hundreds of little pastime hobbies that I have, one of them is lockpicking. And somewhat similar story is, I got ADHD, and so for a long time I was very regularly locking myself out of my car, locking myself out of my house, and that sort of stuff. And I was telling you, actually, I picked a lock to the basement of my apartment in Portland, Maine, with a clothes hanger that I had hammered flat with a hammer and a little tiny micro screwdriver. And that was the first lock that I ever that I ever forced. Actually, no, I picked a filing cabinet in my dad's classroom. My dad was a school teacher. I did that with a paperclip.
Nice.
That was just a simple wafer lock. But yeah, so it's always been interested. So I've got into lock picks. And how often does a locksmith pick locks?
Now, when I was at my regular job, I would pick locks probably a couple of times a week, easy, like no problem. Car lockouts, house lock, well, mostly home lockouts or business lockouts or something in a business like a file cabinet. We'd either make keys for it or just go pick it open and then make keys for it. So it was regular, something you did. I mean, even, one of the most adventuresome ones was getting the Kingston lock off the bottom of a tractor trailer. That was a good game. Kingston lock is the lock that locks over the freaking hookup for the tractor trailer so someone can't, hook up and drive off. Well, they lost the key and it's underneath the bottom of the tractor trailer. So I'm a tall dude, but I was too tall to be, I pretty much had to be bent over backwards like I was doing a limbo as I was picking this lock with my face directly underneath it. And it's all covered totally in axle grease. So the lock was covered in axle grease. Everything was covered in axle grease. And of course, it was the middle of winter and I had my brand new winter coat on that was light tan.
Oh.
Yeah. So good news is I didn't get hit in the face with the Kingston lock when it unlocked. Bad news is my coat was never light tan all over again.
What type of keyway is that? It was that type of lock.
Truthfully, it was pretty much a wafer lock.
Yep.
It was a wafer lock, pretty much like what was it, Ford or even Chrysler type door lock kind of thing.
Yep. And so for those that don't know, wafer locks tend to be the cheaper ones, but they're also much more resilient. So things like car doors and car ignitions and things like that tend to be wafer locks, while your house will have pins. And there's all sorts of other different types, but we don't need to nerd out about that stuff.
Yeah. Nerds.
Yep. And so what are some of the other things? Let's say you're just like, oh, I'm between careers. Locksmith, it sounds a little bit interesting. What are some of the other interesting things locksmiths do?
Well, the good part about locksmithing is you go to businesses. Look, you're with people on their best day or sometimes the worst day. It's that simple. So, hey, we bought a new house. Awesome. Yeah, we'd like you to change the locks. Hey, we opened a new business. I'd like for you to change the locks. Great. Hi. We repossessed. We took someone's house over because they couldn't pay the mortgage. We need you to come change the locks. Hey, this person didn't pay taxes and we're closing their business down and we need you to change the locks. So it could be, one or the other. That's good or bad. The good parts, one of the good parts is when I'm helping people out, like that had domestics and they need their locks changed for their safety. That's always good. Or people that had break-ins and I go out and I check out their place and I give them an estimate on what it's like, how to best upgrade their property so they don't get broken into again or don't get broken into in the first place. That all that stuff makes me really feel good, like I'm making a difference. So that helps. And of course, when people are locked out and they're panicking and you go there and calm them down and take care of it, always good. So you can feel good about yourself and do a good job. It's not all negative. It's not all positive. And each day is different. I mean, we've gone to a job that a child was locked in a car and we got there within 3 minutes of receiving a phone call and popping the car open because the police called us. They were like, hey, we got a kid locked in the car. We can't get it open. Can you come out? My brother and I, because it's a family business, my brother and I were on the way. We got there so quickly. My brother jumped out. This is how long ago it was. It was a Beretta. It was a Chevy Beretta.
Nice.
My brother jumped out of the car, got the tool in the window, and popped the door open before I could get the van in park. That's how quickly you could get in those. The door popped open. Mom grabbed the baby, told the police thank you, and went in the house. My brother and I were like, what are we, chopped liver? That was funny.
Was the tool,
It was like,
was the tool the Slim Jim?
No, we had an under the window tool that goes under the glass, pops up inside the car.
And so can you even use those anymore? Because they switched over so that it's hard to pop up the locks.
Yeah, it's hard to do that. I mean, Slim Jims, they went out they went the way of the Dodo too. But mostly it's wedging cars with the air cuff and sticking a rod in and unlocking the door.
Yep.
We were doing that on the more difficult vehicles back in the day, but I mean, it is what it is. You get in by any means necessary. Now, as vehicles got more expensive, like BMWs actually had a vacuum, so you couldn't pull their door up if you wedged it. You wedged the door to kick off the sensor, and the vacuum would suck the lock down. The car would fight you if you wedged the door open.
Oh, that's crazy,
right? Yeah. Well, my dad's gone now, so statute of limitations is up because, well, dig him up if you don't like it. My dad would actually go overseas to Scotland to a friend of his. And over there, they didn't have the same thing as in America. We have association, what is ALOA? American Locksmith. Frig, I can't get it right. Sorry. But we can't use criminals to break into cars to learn how to break into cars. Well, in Scotland, they don't have that same rule. So one of my dad's friends, that world famous locksmith, would pick up a new car and then have car thieves come break into it. Like they'd figure out how to break into the car, he'd write it down and sell the programs to locksmiths around the world.
That's crazy. I mean, that's also, I mean, it's a big thing. Have it in the computer world with the whole black hat thing is hackers trying to figure stuff out. And then they tell you how they did it. So you can figure things out.
So he would find out from these guys how they broke into the car, design the tool, sell the tool, and sell the process on how to get in. And my dad would go there and learn from him because it blew my mind the first time I came up here. And he got a call at 2 a.m. in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Someone was locked out of their Jag. And my dad told him it was $400. And the guy was like, okay, come out. Dad, how long is it going to take you to get in? He was like, probably 30 seconds. You can get that? He was like, yeah. I was like, I needs to be a locksmith. No, but yeah, so it's to me, it's a fun and fulfilling job that I've been doing for a really long time. You also have safes. We did safe work. I've drilled safes. I've drilled fire cabinets and things like that to get in. It's a fulfilling job if you want to do it because it's a thing that most people won't do. Trade is part of the trades and people aren't doing that anymore. So yeah, get in. Access control and stuff like that is cool. I mean, everybody thought, OnStar and services like that would get rid of car lockouts, but it hasn't. it pretty much is transferred into still you're locked out of your car or you need keys made. And now to get keys made with the chips in it so it starts your car is like $350. That's how much it costs to get for a locksmith to make a key for your Volvo, for your BMW, for your Mercedes, or Acura, just any of those cars. It's going to cost you a pretty penny if you lose your keys. And my brother actually started his own business of making keys like that.
And actually, I think it's officially all of them now, unless you've got an older car, because the last holdouts for the chip keys was Hyundai Kia. And after enough people figured out that you could hammer a USB cord into the lock cylinder and then grab it with a pair of pliers and turn it and break the lock out and start the car, auto insurance companies started saying, look, we're not going to insure your car unless it's got an immobilizer.
Yep. So it's a growing business, but it's what people don't know, and it's fine. I mean, people didn't even know. Usually people don't even know there's such a thing as a locksmith, which is hilarious. It's like, what? That's actually a thing? Like, still? Yes, still. It's one of the few Smith jobs left.
And without getting into too much OPSEC, I know that you now have a little bit more steady job, so you're not getting woken up at 3:00 in the morning with someone who lost their keys. But you work at an institution, and like most institutions, they have gobs and gobs and gobs of locks. So having a locksmith on site is a great idea. What kind of work do you do for them?
Who? Same thing, but it's repairing locks more. It's keeping up with what's there because it's an old institution. So you're working on locks from the turn of the last century, which is amazing because those locks don't break as much as new stuff does.
Yep.
So you're working on a lock from the late 1800s. It's pretty cool.
Are locks that are that old, are they easy to repair and work on?
Yes and no. Okay, if you have the parts, which it's funny because the designs are so robust and basic that some of the companies still have parts that fit it because they haven't changed the design. So you can actually swap it out and make it work, and you can figure it out by looking at it. This moves this, and that moves that, and that's awesome. And by now, you've just fixed a lock that's older than internal combustion engines. And it's just pretty cool. I'm a geek about it. I mean, it's a job satisfaction that you can actually fix something that's that old. Not so cool about the newer stuff. It's like, yeah, all right, I made an electric motor run. You know what I mean? It hit a relay, it flicked the light, yada, yada. But when you're working on the old things and when people try to sabotage locks, because that happens where I work at, and you're able to bypass it, still get it open, and then clear it out and have it work, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that didn't work. Not a boo-boo. And it still works. So I like that. And it's not boring still. I mean, to me, it's interesting because everything has a lock on it. Everything from the medical cabinets and carts that we work with to where people keep paperwork and stored. They have different levels, of security. So it could be that Walmart file cabinet or something that's like a government file cabinet, and you have to find like a drill point to be able to get the lock to release and unlock and then replace all of that and then have it be secure again. Like, that's the kind of things we do. And I like it.
I mean, yeah, that's one thing that I like is it turns instead of every lock turning into just either a red light or a green light, every single one's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And I was just looking up something because we had an incident where we had one of those Halliburton briefcases with the little dial on each side to unlock the latch.
Yep.
And they had no combo for it. My partner and I figured out, well, actually, my partner said, I saw this once. Work with me. And we were able to get that Halliburton briefcase open in about 1 minute. And just figured out the combo and got it open.
Just because I'm a nerd of that thing, were you using a feeler gauge and feeling for the gates?
Yep. And we made the feeler gauge in the field.
Yep. I did I had something similar to that. I actually got someone laughing, which was this was during COVID, so everything was still on lockdown, and one of our neighbors' kids had a birthday, and their parents they kept the whole neighborhood together during the lockdown, with all sorts of interesting things that the neighborhood could do that was social, but still maintaining the social distance.
Mm-hmm.
And, but we had a Zoom birthday party, and everybody got packages the day before. And it was essentially kind of like an escape room where everybody had all the information to open up all the different locks and packages and things like that were going through. But nobody who had the key had the device, and so everyone had to work together to figure it all out with the clues. And my daughter had a little container that just had one of those like Halliburton locks on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she ended up closing it and forgot what the combo was. So I mentioned, I just used a piece of feeler gauge and got it open.
Yep. I was sitting there, because I'd never heard of it, and I was like, oh, that is so freaking cool. Oh, I'm going to tell this story forever. Oh, that's the cool thing about being a locksmith. Also, you're going to have cool locksmith stories. People look at you like, that really happened? Yeah, you don't have to lie to have incredible stories. We have incredible stories.
By the way, did you make the feeler gauge out of a soda can?
Out of something else, but yep, damn near.
Okay.
Just hammered a piece of extruded aluminum flat.
Yep.
Stuck it in and worked it. One of the coolest, funniest stories were when Corvettes changed over to have the keychain where you walked away. I mean, the key tag.
Yep.
Key fob. You walk away and it locked the door. Well, this is in Jersey. Most people heard of Jersey and heard of Jersey Shore, but you don't understand Jersey traffic. So a guy called a friend of our family, had said he was locked out of his car at the Jersey Shore. Well, this guy is in North Jersey. Pretty much it's a day gone if you drive down to the Jersey Shore because you're stuck in traffic that long.
Mm-hmm.
Like that your day's shot. So he hit the guy up and told him it was like $600. Or he can, call the dealership, wait till, Monday, the dealership can cut him a key and bring it out. He was like, I am not leaving my car down here over the entire weekend because it won't be here come Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So fine, I'm coming down. He's like, but you got to pay me before I open the car because the guy said I locked the keys in the ignition. He was like, you got to pay me before I do the work. And the guy thought that was really weird. He was like, you're not going to bust my window or something. He's like, no, I'm not. But once you see how I open the car, you're going to be angry and not want to pay me. He's like, no, I won't. He was like, pay me first. He was like, all right. So the guy gets there eventually. He was like, pay me. The guy paid him. He walks up to the Corvette, puts his hand on the hood and starts rocking the car. The keychain starts moving the ignition. It senses the movement and unlocks the car. The guy was like, you're right, I wouldn't have paid you. Like, yeah. But that was like one of the coolest stories. About just look, it's what you know. And it's like, well, couldn't he have told him that over the phone? Yeah, what, for free?
Mm-hmm.
He had to pay to learn that, right? Yep. It's like we don't have this wisdom from like having seances in the middle of the woods. Like we go and take classes, online classes, and we watch some of the same lockpicking stuff everybody else does to learn these techniques and practice. Sometimes I don't anymore. Like when I first picked the lock, for the company, for the family's business, and it's my dad and my stepmom. Man, it freaking sucked. Because they gave me every lock they didn't have a key for and had me just sit in the back and pick it. And then when I picked it over, they made me key it up and make keys for it. So that's how I got to learn to pick padlocks, to pick doorknobs, to pick deadbolts by doing stuff like that. And then they'd slip me stuff every now and again that was supposedly impossible to pick, and I'd pick it because no one told me it was impossible to pick. I mean, it's like marksmanship fundamentals. It's all the same, dude. Once you get the basics, it's just do it.
Yep. Well, I hope everyone was as interested as I was. I know I'm a bit nerdy about these things as well, but I also like to have we do other stuff than just shoot guns.
Yeah, heck yeah. Look, I love shooting guns. I'm a gun guy, but it can't be everything we do. Or it can be. Makes no difference.
All right. Before we go, tell everybody where to find you, Tony.
DiversityShoot.com. You can find the website and go there, or you can find me on IG at Simon Says Train. Also on Facebook, Simon Says Train. Also, the second is for everyone. And you can listen to me on podcast on the Second is for Everyone podcast on your favorite podcast app. Oh, and I forgot, got a new podcast called Locked, Cocked, and Unfiltered. And we're on YouTube. Yeah, I know, I drew a blank. It's a fun podcast with me and a couple of friends of mine that are firearms instructor, one in South Carolina, one in Minnesota. And we talk about pretty much anything we can think of, including firearms and advocacy.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Well, thank you so much, Tony Simon.
Thank you.
I think, Aaron, we talked about this a little earlier. You actually had no idea that Tony was a locksmith.
Well, I mean, I think I had heard something prior to this, but for the longest time, no, I didn't know. And I don't really have much to add other than I'm just going to nerd out very briefly and say one of my very favorite science fiction series is called The Stainless Steel Rat. And it's about a criminal in the future. And he starts out his criminal career by learning to be a locksmith. His reasoning being, well, I have to pick locks, so I might as well get professional training for it. And I thought that was really neat. It's the first time I saw that written anywhere. And so, yeah, you could probably be a really good burglar if you were a professional lockpicker.
I mean, it certainly changes. When I first learned to pick locks, it went from when you see a locked door, it's just a locked door. And unless you know where the key is for that, like that door is locked and locked and locked. So unless you want to break it down, there's no, you shall not pass. And then suddenly it goes to, oh, look at that. That's a Schlage keyway. I see what's going on with there or all that. And then like, I remember actually I was one of the places I worked at had lockers, for some of the staff. And so I just go past the lockers, and just while I was going past the lockers, I would just take a peek at each one and just see what type of locks that people were using and things like that. You know, you see like, oh, someone locks their locker with like a TSA lock. Don't do that. Never lock anything that you care about with a TSA lock, because you can just go buy the key for those. Because that's the whole point, is that there's one key and everybody in the TSA has it, and they can unlock your luggage and check it if they need to check it. And so if you have a TSA lock, then it's going through. And then also the TSA keyway is not hard to pick. I have TSA locks. I've picked them. They are very, very easy to get into. So yeah, just you start seeing vulnerabilities of things, and stuff starts seeming to be a challenge. And actually I posted, Tony hadn't heard about this. And so I sent him the link too. This is something I just picked up recently, and it's kind of awesome. If you want to jump into lock picking with both feet, the Covert Covert Companion Pro is awesome. It's essentially a Swiss Army knife, and it has the tools to attack most locks out there, and it just can just clip onto your pocket and just go along with you. It's a little thicker than most pocket knives or a Swiss Army knife, but it's got like a bunch of different tension wrenches. It's got a bunch of different lock picks. It's got skeleton keys. It's got jiggler keys. It's got feeler gauges, all sorts of stuff that you can use to attack most types of locks. And so it's one of those, like, it can run into a good situation where, oh, I need to get into here. And there's certainly many reasons. As I said with Tony, I got into lock sports because I have ADHD. And so therefore I will frequently lock a door behind me and realize, oh yeah, I need to have keys with me to get back in. And so that's really, really cool. And also just because if you don't know that you that you want to get into lock picking, I posted the Sparrows Tuxedo set, and that is a pretty darn good starter set. They've got it listed here, $32, and it's several rakes, couple of hooks, and a bunch of different really good looking wrenches in a nice little carrying case. Like that'll do you. You can, for that amount of money, you can definitely find out if you like it or not, and if you want to drop the $150 for the covert companion. But it is nice. Oh, and I see, Aaron, you just dropped the stainless steel rat series in there. I know that you got me reading book 1, and I really did enjoy it.
Great. I don't remember getting you into reading it, honestly.
As soon as you said that, as one of those, like, oh, I read that first book. It was a long time ago, though. Like, this was like well into, I think it was into the Gun Blog Variety Cast days. So that was ages ago, Aaron. We're almost at 400 episodes of this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like, I want to say around 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
Getting old sucks, but it beats the alternative.
Yep. And Aaron, who's been with us for all that time?
Our listeners.
Yes, not each and every one. I assume that there are new people joining us all the time. But and guess what? Yeah, if you started listening to this podcast in the 200s or the 300s, you know what? That's fine. That's great. Welcome. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. But again, extra special thanks to our supporters on Patreon. These are the people that help keep the lights on. This stuff isn't free. And so, yeah, they help us out. We really appreciate you. And if you want to help us out and help yourself out, you can go to patreon.com/Assorted podcast and sign up. And so that you give us some money, but guess what? You're getting stuff for it. You can get early access to the podcast. You can also get bonus content like the ACP blooper reels. We can hear about Aaron's Jonah character. Let's see. The ACP film track, Oddball has some stuff picked out. There's going to be some good ones coming up. And the ACP Magnum.
It's not a character, it's an archetype.
Archetype character. Potato.
Tuber. Also, please remember to rate us on Apple Podcasts and Pocket Casts. By the way, potato, pomme de terre, I believe is French for apple of the earth.
Dirt apples. That's what I say when I'm making potatoes. I say we're having dirt apples.
Subscribe to us on the platform of your choice and share the show with your friends, both online and off.
I've got a blog. It's weerdworld.com. That's WEERD and hear me weekly on Handgun Radio on the Firearms Radio Network.
And you can get more from me at Linktree/Aaron Paulette. That's linktree.ee/Aaron Paulette, all one word. And that's how you can get in touch with me if you want to read about the Jonah.
And thanks to Nate Spencer for our music.
I am a pomme de terre, and Weer'd is just a dirt apple. Our style and classiness is assorted, and so is our podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night.